Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday, 21st of July, everybody. Good to see you. Mike Covert here from Beaufort County's House of Cards. Glad you're with us. It's a beautiful Thursday afternoon. We are live every Thursday, live right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can watch us on all of those platforms, hopefully other platforms as we go along. And speaking of that, we are now part of the Patreon family. Go over to Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards. Patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards. Check us out there. A lot of cool stuff. You can get memberships. You can contribute to the show. We love that. Join memberships for whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to get out of it, go do it. Join us, be a part of this great thing we're happening to be a part of launching here in the low country of South Carolina. Also, you can go to Cash App. That's $MCovert1581 to contribute and donate to the show. Glad to have you. What a show we have in store today. Gosh, I think I need a bigger desk now. We just got so much stuff to talk about. There's all kind of things going on. I was telling my wife earlier, and I don't pretend to be any kind of journalist or anything like that, or writer or whatever, but you get in kind of a funk. You're like, man, I don't know what am I doing? Do I write about this? Do I talk about that? Nothing's going on. Then all of a sudden, boof, you get bombarded with stuff. Of course, you got to research it and all that, and you got to take time. But it's amazing how all of a sudden, God works in mysterious ways. It just right there on your doorstep. You just pick it up and you start rolling with it. So who are we? Once again, we're like, this is our fifth, sixth show, something like that. Brand new. We're still learning to crawl. This show, Beaufort County's House of Cards, Mystery, Mayhem, and Manipulation, was created out of a conversation I had with someone here locally who was telling me, after this primary debacle that we went through here in Beaufort County, said, hey, you know what? You've got this voice. And I know you used to work, radio and NASCAR. And you ever thought about doing a podcast? I was like, what? Say what? No. Kind of died the idea, kept hearing it in the back of my mind. So I called her back. I'm like, tell me about that. How's that work? We talked about it. I mean, I know some folks in the business from the Overton Report, all over the place. You got to do this. You got to do this. So I said, hey, you know what? Maybe they got something here. I've got a passion for this subject. I've got the ability to put that subject out there, and all of a sudden, here you go. We've got listeners. We're on different networks, so to speak, platforms, and we're creating a buzz about telling the truth to the voters, telling the truth of what's really going on here in Beaufort County, in the town of Hilton Head, Bluffton, Yemassee, Beaufort, Port Royal, wherever, Hardyville, and around the state and around the nation and around the world. Why not? But we're concentrated here because this is where the rubber hits the road. So we're concentrated here. So first of all, let's talk about, we start off talking about the news. The biggest news of this week since we've been with you has to be Alec Murdaugh. Last week we told you he was indicted by the grand jury, Colleton County grand jury. Well, yesterday he sat before Judge Clifton. I believe his last name is Newton. Clifton Newton, yes. There in Walterboro. He sat before him in an arraignment, and it was interesting watching the court TV feed of that as the attorneys talked beforehand, and you could tell there was a deal being made. And before I go too much further, don't forget, this is our first open mic Thursday. We have a regular show, but we have open mic Thursday. So if you want to talk about the price of eggs in Kazakhstan, talk about it. Anything you want to talk about, bring it up, put it in the chat, I'll put it on the screen, and we'll talk about it. So anyway, back to Murdaugh. So you could tell that Jim Griffin and Senator Dick Harpootlian, one of the most liberal, progressive senators in South Carolina, were over at the table of the prosecuting attorney, and you could tell there was a deal being made. I mean, I was born at night, but not last night. So anyway, the judge comes out, they all rise, da 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 da. And um, they're going through the motions, and Harpootlian says, "Wait a minute. By the way, we think we have an agreement on a couple things." And the judge, well, what agreement would that be? He said, "Well, our the defendant agrees no bond, no bond." Well, normally that would be a big deal. That would be a big deal, but I don't believe that's a big deal because he's in jail already with $7 million bond, facing, if he got, I believe it's the maximum of all his crimes that he's been already in there for, like I don't know, hundreds of years. He ain't going anywhere. We're going to, no bond. We agree to no bond. The judge says, all right, state agrees, so on. Boom. All right, no bond. Big deal. But in turn, the defendant's attorneys said, we want to have, and the state's agreeing with this, we want to have a gag order. Well, Judge Clifton Newton, I don't know the man. Interesting watching him in some other trials and other things in this as well. He says, boys, I am not a big fan of gag orders. And he said that because, and he went on to say this later, public issues should be held in the public. And which, I'm all about that. And the majority, if not all of you that watch this, I would think would agree with that. Public issues should be in the public. Well, so the judge said, what exactly do you want to have gag ordered, Mr. Harpootlian? And he came up with this thing, this idea, this scenario that it is possible that there is evidentiary items and whatever that box contains that don't need to be portrayed out in the social media is where he was going with this. That this case needs to be held in a court of law, not in a court of masses, which, okay, I understand. You don't need to have social media being the judge and jury, but this is a public case. This does need to be public. And then he said, well, the state has some items that they may not want the public to know about. So Judge Newton basically, and I'm paraphrasing as I always do, basically said, look, you two say you've agreed on it. I don't like doing it. Put something together. Put something together. And if anybody's out there, I think Paula Brown's given us a message. If she can't get the show, anybody knows her, give her the link to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Anyway, he said, you two have decided this. So put together some kind of paper, some kind of, some kind of order and present it to me. And we will look it over. And when we look it over, I'll decide whether it's good or not. So the onus now actually is on it's on the two lawyers, don't get me wrong. But it's on the judge to decide, is he going to stay in his lane, as he said, this is a public issue and should be held publicly, or is he going to cave to the pressure of really the defense? It's not the prosecution. This is really the defense. I don't know. It'll be interesting. This is South Carolina, one of the, if not the, most corrupt states when it comes to politics in the United States. And we're getting a message. I'm not sure. That's Mom. I see Mom has given us some, sending a message here. Yes, we are on Facebook. Absolutely. Join us. So anyway, the judge got to decide, is he going to play South Carolina politics and let the defense keep things under wraps, under a gag order? Stay tuned. we'll see what happens with that. It does not surprise me one bit. I think I heard somebody say that there is a um, what do you call it? A article by Fitz News, fitsnews.com, uh, who does typically a bang up job. There's an article supposedly on their website about the judge and having to make this decision on the gag order. So take a look at that. What else is in the news? Well, here is something that is not has not been talked about that I'm aware of in the public setting. It should be, and this probably should be a whole segment. And don't forget, this is Open Mic Thursday. You have something you want to ask, you want to talk about, you want to bitch, complain, do it. We'll put it up on here. It doesn't have to be about what I'm talking about tonight. So there's a group that owns Palmetto Bluff, the controlling interest, called South Street Partners. Basically a group of, I don't know, they're probably 28 to 35-year-old punks who's got daddy's money and a whole lot of it, and have this this partnership, and now they own, and with some other partners, they own Palmetto Bluff. They have had a deal in front of the town of Bluffton, and I believe it's the Planning Commission. I hope it hasn't made it to county or town council, but I know it's been at the Planning Commission. And their idea was they wanted to have a change to the development agreement of Palmetto Bluff, which is obviously in the town of Bluffton and in Beaufort County, that would allow for 400 wet slips, 400 open wet slips over. It's already been approved for 100 or so, 120 some odd, down at Moreland Landing, the southern part of Palmetto Bluff. They want it changed to allow 400 wet slips. This size of wet slip would necessitate the dredging of the May River. It doesn't stop there. They also are looking to get approval, because it's not approved now. They're asking for it to have I'm not kidding. Push record on this. Underground fuel storage on the May River. They're envisioning 100-foot yachts camping out there at Moreland and the marina, fueling up with gas, being able to come up the May River, where it gets pretty shallow in that area. I can attest to that. They want it to be dredged, so it's deep. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, I am a capitalist to the nth degree. I believe in entrepreneurialism, et cetera, et cetera. But I also understand and recognize the environmental situation we're in Beaufort County. They're not making this again. Okay? They're not making this again. 400 slip boat storage. I think it's 200 more dry stacks, which isn't too much of a environmental harm. Underground fuel storage and dredging of the May River. It went through the Planning Commission. It was voted down unanimously. Julianne, we'll put that up here in just a second. Let me finish this first. It was voted down unanimously. No. Mayor Solka, whether she got with the Planning Commission director, what avenue, I don't know, but she made it known. Let's put it back on the table for discussion. It goes back. It gets voted down again, unanimously. No. Again, the mayor of the town of Bluffton has asked for this to be put back up for discussion. And now we are in time to present day. This has been going on for a while. She wants it brought back for further discussion. And don't get me wrong. this is, I'm not disparaging the mayor or the planning commission. Obviously, they voted against it. None of that. I'm just saying, take a look at this. Take a look at this, and we'll get to you in just a second, Julian. So the planning commission has been asked again, and you could call it the third time because it was brought to them once. They talked about it, they voted it down, was brought back again, but the request of the mayor, they voted it down. The mayor has asked again to have it brought back. Well, the planning commission chair, director, whatever they are, according to my sources at the town of Bluffton, said, not to the mayor, but to the mayor, if you're going to make these rules, why are we here? Why am I here? And I totally get it. I totally get it. The mayor needs to stay in her lane, his or her lane, whoever it would be. In this case, in her lane, let the planning commission do their job. It is not the mayor's job to do the planning commission's work. Why? And I'm not alleging the mayor's done anything wrong. Not in the least. But why be so headstrong that you've got to subvert the process to perverse how the system is designed to work to get this goal on the books? Why? What does she have to gain? What would anybody have to gain? Well, let's look about that. If you've got 400 slips and they're all deep water boats, and let's just say half of them are these mega yachts. Holy cow, look at all the tax dollars. Wow, that's a lot of money. Could that also increase property taxes or property sales and values? There are good points and bad. There's conversations of the mayor having a little bit, being a realtor, being a little too close to the vest with that. I understand. I'm not accusing. I'm not alleging. I'm just saying this is what people talk about. Many are too afraid to talk about it. I'm not one of those. Simply put, and this is the bottom line, the town would gain instrumentally, financially, if the planning commission were to cave to the mayor's obvious wishes. She's asked for it to be talked about twice again after it's been voted down. The town would gain financially, instrumentally, across the board, in every direction. If these mega yachts were allowed to be slipped in there, 400 count, the river would be allowed to be dredged, which, according to a former SCDNR official who lives here, worked here, retired here, said dredging the May River that far upstream would be ecologically devastating. Ecologically devastating. Not to mention gasoline tanks stored underwater on the May River? Are you serious? Mayor, how could you even think of this? That's completely irresponsible and totally not what the citizens of the town of Bluffton and Beaufort County en masse want. I don't guarantee much other than taxes and death. I can guarantee that one. So stay tuned to that. Ask your city council member, your city planning commission member, your county council member, what say you? And if they say, no, I'm not in agreement, why have you not? Because nobody, and I've done my research, I always do the research, nobody has come out that I can find that's a public official and said, this is a bad idea. Why is that? Why is that? All right, let's put this up here. Back again, this is Open Mic Thursday. Taking all of your questions, all your comments, put it out. We'll put it up. Julianne Kobrick, in my opinion, the defense team, talking about Alec Murdaugh, doesn't want it public, wants the gag order, because there are probably so many legs and tentacles that stretch out into the legal system, which will expose the names of so many. Hoping the judge insists it goes public, let the heads roll. Now, I think that your statement makes perfect common sense. It is absolutely on point. You deserve a big round of applause for doing that. That little word salad there. And yeah, I absolutely hope the judge does let it go public. Is there anything that can be said that would tarnish Alec Murdaugh more than already has? I don't think so. I don't know how the man sat in the courtroom staring at a picture of his either great grandfather or grandfather, which maybe it's both. I've never been in the courtroom. I don't know how he sat there and stared at that picture without falling out. What else could there be? I mean, we've heard it all. Hats off to Mandy Matney of Fitz News with her Murdoch Murders, whatever the name is, podcast. It's world class. Elizabeth Farrell also on there. What on earth could there be that we wouldn't be shocked about already? Might as well let it fly. Is the state going to be embarrassed? Well, the state's not going to be. Now, wait a minute. Are there people, publicly elected officials, and public bureaucrats that work for elected officials, are or could they be involved? Now, there is a thought. Would the state want to keep them on the DL? Would Alan Wilson's office, he is the one, when it comes down to it, in my opinion, as far as I understand it, that has to prosecute here. Would Alan Wilson be tempted to cover another publicly elected official or a bureaucrat that works for a publicly elected official from damages in the Alec Murdaugh case? Whether it involved only the financial crimes, which are substantial enough, and or involving the murders of his wife and son, Paul. I don't know. That's a question that, again, I mean, I'm just putting it out there. And thank you, Julianne, yeah, for hitting it on the head. I think that's something that can be, you're not going to ask anybody because nobody's going to tell you about it, but it certainly offers some, there's thought that can be brought in there with that subject. So that is good point, Julianne. Thank you for bringing that up. So what else? Again, tonight is Open Mic Thursday. Chat about whatever you want. Send us a chat. A couple folks said over the last several weeks that some of the comments we didn't play. Well, if I get it here, I broadcast through StreamYard. All of the feeds, Facebook, Twitter, or Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch are supposed to feed into this. I don't know how that works, but when I get it, I'll put it on the screen. Promise you that. Promise you that. So anyway, if it doesn't work on Facebook, go to YouTube. And when you go to YouTube, by the way, go to Beaufort County's House of Cards. It's a channel. Subscribe to the channel. Click the little bell. That way you'll get all of the notices that we send out and all that kind of stuff. That'll help us as we grow this thing, and that's on YouTube. Twitch, I don't just do whatever Twitch is supposed to do. You're a Twitcher. So anyway, the upcoming election season is underway. Yes, we don't vote until November. We're not even into August, but we're on the back door of it right now, coming on to it. So it's not far off. And the races have been set. Democratic candidates Republican candidates. Oh, but wait, we forgot something. What about those write-ins? The long lost, forgotten about write-ins. Over the years, we've always said, well, I don't like anybody. I'm going to write in Donald Duck. There is really a way to do this. There's really a way to do this. And I tell you, I am so proud that I had the opportunity during the primary season. Yes, I lost. That's okay. We all know about it. I had the opportunity to work with, I think it was like 4 or 5 folks who were first timers running for office. 2 of those were, I'm sorry, 3 of those were 4 of those were hotly contested. One was going to be the Chris Servishon seat was going to be up for grabs. So that one wasn't a battle. Great person that got the seat though. But the others were a battle. I am so fortunate to have worked with those folks. And I am even prouder that I was part of 2 of them taking out some of the good old boys, Stu Rodman and Paul Somerville. They're going bye-bye. See you later. That is awesome. But the work is not done. The work is not done. There are still some more that need to be shown the door because of cronyism, because of poor ethics, because of alleged corruption, and more. I have been working with 3 folks for obviously 3 different districts. 2 of them I can't say yet. They're not ready. One of them I can. I may have an update. That may have changed. Hold on a second here. People are watching and they're talking. So you're getting this live, man. This is raw. This is live. I can't let it out yet. Okay, so anyway, there are 3 county council seats that I'm working with some folks on write-ins. One of them, I can tell you, has announced. And I am so excited. I am so excited. You know, when I ran my primary, I was in the Republican primary against the eventual winner, Anna Maria Tabernick. She goes by Tab, lives in Sun City. She now will have, she knew she has a Democratic opponent, albeit County Council Chairman Passaman and Councilwoman Howard have been seen with her, and I'm sure, going over notes and getting her prepped, assuming that this is a landslide win against Alfonso Smalls, the Democrat. That's what they're assuming. That only makes sense on their behalf. Well, she has another battle. And this battle is by a write-in candidate. We're going to have her on here hopefully next week. Last conversation today was she'll be on here next week. Her name is Carolyn Fisher. Carolyn Fisher. She lives in the Mill Creek, Cypress Ridge area. She is going to be running as a write-in candidate for County Council District 6. And I could not be more excited with that. So let me tell you how this works. Excuse me. You don't have to have a bunch of, signed, petitions and all that kind of stuff for county. It doesn't work that way. It's recommended that you send a letter, of which I have given all 3 of these candidates the form of the letter. And yes, I am helping them. I will be helping them as much as they wish to make sure they win, because they are doing the people's work. They have given the honor, the statement. They are a servant of the people, not a servant of the government. So Carolyn Fisher, District 6, she's got the letter. She's sent that in to the Board of Elections of her intention to run. The biggest thing that she's got to do is get her name in front of everyone in District 6 between now and November. And we're going to ensure that everyone in District 6, and these other districts too, but District 6 right now, everyone that goes to the polls, we're going to make sure you have her name with you. So you don't spell it wrong. There's no question. You don't have to rely on crooked poll systems and these crooked ass machines. You'll have it in front of you. You have to write it on the screen. You will verify that the machine accepted the write-in. And if you don't, or it doesn't rather, you're going to stop and say, I'm not pushing vote until this is fixed. We're going to make sure you have that. We're going to make sure you know all that Carolyn Fisher has to offer, her platforms, her vision. And let me tell you, she is she's fantastic. She's a mom, wife, has been in the community. She's from the Northeast. She left there because of their liberal, progressive rather outlooks and high taxes and destruction of the Constitution, and came here. So she's on board. She has a plan. We want to hear about it. We want to know what she thinks about roads, solid waste, stormwater runoff, parks and recreation, the library, blah blah blah. All of those things are what make county council county council. It's not a huge Democrat Republican thing. We're talking about, hey, roads and potholes don't know a political party. They don't. Your trash, your volleyball team you want to play on in the evening, your softball team, your kids' soccer team, the water that runs off the roads, none of that has anything to do with political parties. She is in a great position because there are, from what I understand, in my opinion, there are a couple thousand in our district or more Republicans that do not buy into the Tabernick philosophy. What is Tabernick's philosophy? I'm glad you asked. And I'll have to tell you, because she never came out after multiple invitations. She never had the fortitude to come out and say what her position was, mainly because Joe Passament didn't tell her what to say. So anyway, with all that being said, we're going to make sure that the positions that Carolyn has, which are, they cross multiple forms of political mindset. But again, the important thing is to know that county council, town council, and this is why town councils in South Carolina are nonpartisan, because it's really a nonpartisan job. There's an issue there that needs to be fixed, and I'm sure at some point in time it will be. But back to the point here about Carolyn, I am super excited, and absolutely all. I think we ended up having in the primary, I don't know, was it 1,300 people voted for us? It was very light. 1,300 voted for me, and I think 1,500 voted for Tabernick. I would hope we get, at least 1.5 times that. It's going to be touchy. All of my voters, I am telling you, yes, this is who I recommend. I recommend Carolyn Fisher for County Council District 6. Absolutely. Write her name in. We're going to make sure you have something with her name on it that you can carry with you and put it in that box. Now, Alfonso Smalls, I don't know the gentleman. I know of him. I know what he has done and does, supposedly. Seems like a great guy. Family man, for all I know. I don't think he carries the same message that Carolyn can convey to all parties. I don't believe he can do it. Matter of fact, I know he can't do it because he doesn't really understand what that message is. Well, what is that message? Well, that message is roads, potholes, Parks and Recreation, Drug and Alcohol Abuse, Veterans Affairs, Engineering, Road Building, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Stormwater, Trash, blah, 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 doesn't know a party. The Democratic Party is really pushing him hard on a lot of far left, very far left. And hey, that's no better than the ultra far. Right. I mean, come on, bring it back a little bit, people. They're pushing him hard. He's not the choice candidate. You know, if you got pissed off about Tabernick, and I understand, you have an option that's a real option now. Carolyn is if you want to call her an America First candidate, or you want to call her a Beaufort County First candidate, that's what she is. That's what she is. So that's coming up. Don't forget, it is open mic Thursday here on Beaufort County's House of Cards. Send in your chat. Tell us what's on your mind. We'll talk about it. If you don't want it posted on the screen, just say that first, and I won't do it. We'll talk about what's going on your mind. It's all good. So Mike, hello, mic problems there. So recently, also in the news, the GOP, the state GOP, is in a quagmire. Evie, those issues are nonpartisan, but we also need to make sure masks are not brought back into our county, and we know that is partisan. Well, you're right. However, and let's not forget this, the ringleader of mandatory masking was or is a so-called Republican, Joe Passament. The vice chairman, a so-called Republican, Paul Somerville. The ringleader north of the Broad, vouching for as if she had a understanding of health, a so-called Republican, Alice Howard. So I say all that, Evie, because yes, on a national level, that I hear you. I hear you. Here locally, this was actually, drug up and instituted, unfortunately, by Republicans. And so you're right, but there's a little bit more to it. Take it what it is. Hey, Kate, how are you? Tell your husband I said, hey, miss talking with him. So anyway, hey, please send us chat with us. It's open mic Thursday. Love the clowns. Love the clowns. So recently, across South Carolina, so far it has been 3 counties, and I understand a 4th one. I think they're meeting tonight. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is tonight. So the Charleston County, Greenville County, and Anderson County, those county GOP parties have all met. And this is kind of interesting because they don't talk about this. You won't find this in the mainstream media because it makes them shit the bed when they hear what happened. And it is actually kind of funny because it's just more proof that they only tell you what you need to hear. Anyway, so in Greenville County, Charleston County, and Anderson County, they all three, they have passed 2 things, all the same verbiage. It's boilerplate. The first thing is a party censure of one of our U.S. senators, Lindsey Graham. And they did that. That's right. Yeah. Based on the fact that Lindsey Graham has turned his back based on his own comments, his own rhetorical comments that he's made over the years on the Second Amendment and your right to carry weapon, your right to arm. And remember, that right was given to us not to protect the government, but to protect us from the government. That just gets lost in the translation a little bit. But anyway, Lindsey Graham has voted in favor of red flag laws. Some people are okay with that, and that's fine. I am one who is not okay with a red flag law. Nowhere in the Constitution does it talk about you can do this if, or but, or only so. Yes, it does say, felons can't carry a weapon. I understand that. I understand that. Well, Mike, that doesn't say that you can carry an assault rifle. Well, I don't know anybody that has an assault rifle. Honestly, I don't. And I hang around with a lot of people that carry or have weapons. I've yet to see an assault rifle. No, an AR-15 is not an assault rifle. No, AR does not stand for assault rifle. It stands for armor light. An AR-15 is not an assault rifle. Well, it's an assault style. Well, if frogs had wings, they wouldn't bump their tails either. I have two AR-15s. One shoots 5.56 round. It's a big boy. I have an AR-15, but it shoots 22 little rounds. It's not an assault rifle. Now, can you go buy an assault rifle? Nowhere that I know of. I don't know how you would, but if you could, I guess, and you have the money to do that, if it's allowable, then sure. Nobody in my neighborhood has a howitzer sitting out back or a cannon. Used to, back in the 1800s, people had cannons in their yards. Anyway, these three counties, and if I understand it right, Lexington County tonight is also putting that up for a vote to censor Senator Graham. This is growing steam. My question, since we're in Beaufort County, we're based out of Beaufort County. My question to Beaufort County GOP Chairman Kevin Henley, and I know you're watching because you love the show, is are you going to put this up for a vote? Do you have the fortitude and the guts to put it up for a vote to censure Lindsey Graham? Yes or no? No discussion. Yes or no? I'd love to hear that answer. I would love to hear that answer. Personally, I don't think the county party leadership has the gall or the guts to do it. I honestly don't. I hope they prove me wrong. I really do. But I don't think they have it in them. Well, what does it mean? Well, it doesn't mean a whole lot. The earth's not going to stop shaking around in a circle because of it. But if you have county parties that all of a sudden start censoring a U.S. senator or a U.S. representative, congressperson, there is some meat to that bone. If one does it, that's nice. When you start adding on, things start changing. People start noticing, behaviors start changing. So what else have they done? Well, these three counties, Charleston County, Greenville County, Anderson County, and Lexington County, if I understand it right, they're doing this tonight. Have all three. These are the GOP. Now, it's not the county commission or the county councils there. This is the county GOP party. They all three have voted on and signed off on their statement of decertification of Joe Biden as the winner of the last presidential election. Let me rephrase that so you don't have to play rewind. And folks that went there, if and I've talked to you, if I'm saying that wrong, please correct me. But after reading them all, I believe I got it halfway right. They've all three, Charleston, Greenville County, and Anderson County, and tonight Lexington County, GOP parties have voted on, signed off on a statement decertifying Joe Biden as the winner of the last presidential election. Now, we can go into election law, election conversations, and I'm sure we will because there is a lot to talk about with that. And again, I said this recently on a program that I was a guest on. I was not 110% on the boat that of the election problems. I was looking at it from the outside in. I never really, smelled it, never tasted it, never touched it until it happened to me. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I know this for a fact. What happened in 2020 is wrong. Is wrong. What happened this primary this year is wrong. How do I know it? I was part of it. I saw it. I felt it. I tasted it. I experienced it. I saw the machines didn't have certified stickers on them. I saw machines that had the sticker broken. I saw machines that were not certified to date. I saw people who were not under the oath, taking the oath to be there to work as a poll, whatever they're called. It is a problem. Someone said to me, well, Donald Trump won pretty well in South Carolina. I don't remember the percentages. That's not the point. The point is, in totality, this was bad. This was very bad. Every day we see more and more things come to light. There are article after article, person after person is all of a sudden seeing what's going on across the country. Look at Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia. Just because the victory was for the guy with the R in South Carolina doesn't mean that the entire thing was done properly. It wasn't. I can tell you, it was not. This just reiterates to me. This just reiterates to me of what a poor place we are in. If 2 years after an election, we now have Republican county parties that are voting to decertify a president, no matter who he or she would be. No matter who. 2 years later, where people are starting to see the light, county parties have said, wait a minute, this was wrong. We're still in this battle of a lack of integrity and corruption to the core. South Carolina, again, is one of, if not the most politically corrupt states in this country. I say to Charleston, which, by the way, is really not purple anymore. It was red, then it turned purple. Now it's not as blue as my screen right down there. It's not that blue, but it's getting there. It's getting there. And you've got a ton of establishment. A ton. Those that are still red, like the flag, establishment heavy. And they're still voting to decertify Joe Biden. Lexington, Kentucky, Lexington County tonight doing that. Will they follow suit? But the big question is to Beaufort County GOP. What are you going to do? Are you going to follow suit and have the conversation that Charleston, Greenville, Anderson, and now Lexington County GOPs have been having and had. Are you going to follow through? Remember, Beaufort County is one of the, I guess it's like the top 5 as far as populace, as far as the percentage of Republicans on down the line that would be in the same category as a Charleston, a Greenville, and so forth. Beaufort County has long been known as a Republican stronghold. The Republican Party of South Carolina was founded by Robert Smalls, a man of color who was a slave in Beaufort County. Kevin Henley, chairman. Will you do the right thing and bring it up for a vote? If the county party says, no, we're not having any part of it, then that can be written in the history book. Or will you cave and cower and sweep it under the rug? Because the establishment that runs so deep, and it is the deep state. See, people, that is, when they talk about deep state, that is the establishment that is running deep. It's running deep in those veins. Are you going to cower to that very strong deep state, Chairman Henley, and keep that off the schedule? What about folks that the affiliates of the county party? Jim Lee, president of the Sun City Republican Club. Are you strong enough, Jim, to bring the censure of Lindsey Graham and the decertification of Biden as president? Are you strong enough to bring that up against the deep state inside your club? Are you strong enough to bring that up against the establishment? Call them the elitists, the globalists, whatever you want to call them, of your club and the county party? Yes or no? Yes or no? Other affiliates, the Friends of Liberty, who, oddly enough, the husband of the founder or president or whatever she is, says they're not an affiliate of the county party. However, she helps write legislation for the county party. She is in the immediate Rolodex file of Kevin Henley. This is Jodan Lee, who I'm talking about. They are an affiliate. The South Carolina GOP calls them an affiliate. The Ethics Commission calls them an affiliate. But anyway, if they are or if they aren't, they're still a conservative in title group. I say to Jodan Lee, are you strong enough to bring to the members of your club the subject of censuring Lindsey Graham and decertification of Joe Biden as president of the United States? Are you strong enough to bring that in front of them for a vote? If the members of the Friends of Liberty say, absolutely, this is hocus pocus, and we're not buying it, at least people know where you stand. Isn't that what one of the things we're all about? Because conservatives for years have said we're tired of the underhanded backdoor politics of progressives and liberals and communists and socialists and whatever is. We say that, but we see, here's what we see. And again, please send in, it's open mic Thursday. I want to hear from you folks. I want to hear from you. There's a bunch of you on here. Tell us what's on your mind. You see, here's what's happened. And I forgot where I was going with that. We have developed, and it's not even developed. We morphed. Democrats, conservatives. With all of the crap that's going on in the world and in the country, those parties have morphed. And if you sit back and you think about it, they're all one big party. That's where the name Uniparty comes from. Because we see Republicans, establishment, deep state Republicans, acting and behaving no better than what we would say is a liberal, progressive leftist. We need to stop saying that. Stop saying that. Because you're all the same. A uniparty is a uniparty. And I want no party of a uniparty. Somebody's going to make a rap song out of that. Well, that's not rap, but it's the only button I have right now. So these the leftist progressive socialists and the deep state, they've really become one. They're tight. Don't let them fool you. So we see that on TV. How many people have you, real conservatives, okay, are disgusted with Fox News? Real conservatives. Because they behave like CNN. Just on, one drinks lemonade and the other drinks tea. They're becoming a uniparty. And I want no party of a uniparty. We've got to change things here, folks. We've got to change things. One of the things that this uniparty, and Helen makes a good point here, the establishment elites all think Trump lost and Biden won. Period. And I've said that before, and people say, well, all the wackos think Trump won and Biden lost. No. All I'm saying is this. There is conservatism and conservative policies that need to be adhered to. And for the folks that are Democrats, of the Democratic Party, of many I am very, very close with, some related to, they have deep-rooted beliefs, and they need to believe those. It's okay. I think they're crazy, but that's okay. It's okay. Hey, if we all thought the same, we'd all be weird. But this uniparty business, and I fault, and somebody wants to argue about it, please tell me why I'm wrong. I fault more of the deep state Republicans than I do Democrats. In my opinion, in my experience, and from what I have been privy to, I am seeing Republicans, deep state Republicans, acting like Democrats. We have a name for that. That's called a rhino. Republican in name only. Well, Mike, should we have a three-party system? I don't know. Should we get rid of them altogether? Well, no. There needs to be political parties. There's political ideologies. I think if you are a Green Party nationalist and you want to run for office, you should be afforded the opportunity to do so. Not because somebody raised more money, because they're in their pockets for somebody else. And let me tell you, that does happen. That happens locally. It happens at the state level. And it, by gosh, does big time run at the federal level. I experienced it. I saw it. I had to get in that. And it ain't pretty. So no, I'm not in favor of getting rid of parties. I do think, like on county council, that it's neither here nor there. Having a party behind your name on county council, I don't think is necessary, because the job at hand, and that's what we're talking about here, is mostly local stuff. The job at hand is nonpartisan. Okay, when I was negotiating land purchased for $0 for parks and recreation. Some of that was with some folks who are very, very progressive. That was never in the conversation. It had nothing to do with it. Land is land. It doesn't know a political party. Kids playing t-ball and soccer and riding a horse has no bearing on the political party. Now you go to the state level, different story. Whole different story. You've got caucus, you've got agendas, and on down the line to the federal government. Absolutely. But I think it's healthy that more than one philosophy get in there. Does that mean I am advocating for libertarianism? No, not really. I know several libertarians, and quite frankly, I agree with a lot of that they say. You know, I'm a big proponent and have been one of the only ones around here for years with Tom Davis, Senator Davis, on medicinal marijuana. A lot of conservatives have said, "My God, boy, we can't have that here." Libertarians think that it's absolutely natural, and I think it's a good thing because I've seen the studies and I've seen the science, and I think it works. So that was my Henry McMaster imitation. So, you know, multiple parties are good. Uniparty, bad. Very bad. Did they plan on that? I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. I can't swear to it. But anyway, I want to move on to two other things. One is super local, and the other is just some good information. And I want to make sure you all have this. I hope everyone here is familiar with or has at least heard of the Rasmussen reports. The Rasmussen reports, it's a polling, Rasmussen polling. They've been around since, I don't know, 2000, 2005, somewhere in there. Been around for a while, good 20 years. Some of their polling is actually more than some. A lot of their polling is really, really good. Their people do a really, really good job. I came across this, and I want you all to hear this because this is important, especially what we just talked about. This came out July 7th. According to the Rasmussen reports, and this was polls sent to all U.S. national likely voters. 50% of all voters believe widespread cheating will affect the outcome of the November 2022 elections, including 36% of Democrats, 43% of independents, 71% of the GOP, and 46% of people of color voters. How about that? Between 52% and 59%, that's a clear majority. Over the top. Maintain that cheating likely affected the outcome of the 2020 national election. You heard what I went on my soapbox there for a minute, 5 minutes talking about. Between 52% and 59% of Americans, a clear majority, agree with that statement. 55% of black voters said there was cheating in the 2020 election. 55%. 55% also support 2020 election audits, including 53% of people of color voters, black voters. 55%. 58% say wider use of mail-in voting will lead to more cheating in elections, including 57% of black voters. These are overwhelming percentages. We're talking clear majority. What else is interesting? 60% agree that opponents of requiring a photo ID to vote just want to make it easy to cheat in elections, including 63% of black voters. 60% of the voters say that people who oppose a picture ID just want to make it easier to cheat. And for the Democrats and rhinos that go out and say, well, you know, this is oppressive to black and brown people, apparently not. Apparently, the black and brown voter is smarter than you're giving them credit for. And they're saying 63% of them are saying, yeah, it's a way to cheat. 66% of voters, likely voters, say requiring photo ID for voting isn't discriminatory. And 57% of those were black voters. These are numbers that you don't hear on the national news because it won't sell ads. 70% say private, what's also known as Zuckerbucks. 70% say private type partisan election funding is a bad thing for American democracy, including 52% of black voters and 62% of Democrats. Overwhelming number of black voters and Democrats are saying overwhelmingly that private funding leads to corruption. I've been saying that for years. 75% of likely U.S. national voters, 75%. When have you seen 75% in a poll? 75% say, 75% say they are concerned about preventing election cheating, including 53% who are very concerned. 75% of black voters are concerned about preventing election cheating. Hello, folks. Hello. 75% of U.S. voters that were polled said they are very concerned about cheating. But if you listen to CNN, you listen to MSNBC, you listen to CNBC, you listen to Fox News, NPR, whatever, they're going to tell you there is no cheating. It's a perfectly safe operation. Bull. I'm telling you, bull. 82% of all voters and 82% of black and brown voters say the issue of election integrity will be important this November, including 61% of them saying it will be very important. You want to talk about a national crisis? You want to talk about a state crisis? We're headed there if election integrity isn't changed like immediately. 90%. This is amazing. 90% think it is important to prevent cheating in elections. The 10% that don't think it's important, you're probably scumbags anyway. How could 10% of you even vote if you think that way? I mean, really? Anyway, 90% think it's important to prevent cheating in elections, including 83% who say it's very important. So the 17% that don't think it's important, you're obviously communist. This includes 87% of black voters who say it's important to prevent cheating and 77% who say it is very important. This is amazing. Why did you have to hear it here first? Why don't we know this and hear this like nightly? Unreal. Unreal. Once again, this is Beaufort County House of Cards. We're going to go for about another 20 minutes or so. Check us out on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards. Check us out on Cash App at $MCovert1581. Thank you for your support. Go to patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards and sign up for a membership. Go to YouTube, ring the bell, hit subscribe. Back to the news. So probably one of the last things I want to talk about tonight, and don't forget it's open mic Thursday. I would rather talk about what you want to talk about than what I want to talk about. So let me know what's on your mind. And I appreciate everybody who has done that so far. give you a great big hug, you know, and there you go. So recently, over the past few months, this is a local issue. There have been some conversations and news articles about on Hilton Head Island, the dredging of the Baynard Cove area out to Calabogie. Oddly enough, it's the backyard of Stu Rodman. And people have gotten really pissy about this. And back in May, May 1st, as a matter of fact, a gentleman that lives on Hilton Head named Christopher, I believe you pronounce his last name Cliff, maybe it's Clive, but I think it's Cliff, wrote a letter to town council. And he included only town council and also Mark Orlando, the town manager, and some other folks there in the town. Anyway, I happen to get a copy of this. In his letter, he talks about the South Island Dredging Association, and we're going to call that SIDA, SIDA, South Island Dredging Association. Back in April-ish time period, there was a proposal, an agenda item on the Town Council of Hilton Head to provide funding to SIDA, South Island Dredging Association, for work that they would be doing to dredge the waterways that included the backyards, if you will, of Baynard Cove, I think they call it, or Baynard Park, Baynard Cove on Hilton Head, in Sea Pines. In his letter, he says, in Sea Pines, the funding of dredging coastal waterways, which benefit a small minority of property owners with private docks, i.e. Stu Rodman, is a highly contentious issue. Until the Finance and Administration Committee meeting of April 19th, this guy he wasn't aware of it, as most Sea Pines residents and as most county residents aren't aware of this. He goes on to say that he didn't realize that part of the gate fee, the exorbitant gate fee you pay to get into Sea Pines, goes to pay for dredging of different waterways within Sea Pines. So what does all this mean? SIDA, South Island Dredging Association, went to town council and was asking for hospitality tax monies to perform this dredging action. Those tax funds are general taxpayer dollars. Those tax funds come from either hospitality taxes or a myriad of taxes that are allocated for hospitality, tourism, and et cetera, and things that benefit that. You can't use public dollars to benefit a person or persons' personal account. And especially not that of a publicly elected official, especially if you're going to be ethical and show integrity, honesty, and be transparent. You don't put yourself in that position. Anyway, going forward, he exclaims that the sales pitch that this would benefit the public dearly is window dressing, in his words. The Corps of Engineers takes care of the thoroughfare between Calabogie Cay and the use of Harbor Town. Okay? It's not free to the public. Using taxpayer money to benefit the property owners, and especially that of a sitting county council member and board member of the Sea Pines Association, is not what we should be doing. So recently, a local critic of government, um, I'm sure all of you have heard of it, Skip Hoagland, who, by the way, I've known him a long time. Um, Probably 90%, 85, 90% of what he says, the theory, the subject, I am fully on. If I knew about it, I'm fully on board with. The delivery, I'm not. We have two different ways. I'm considered pretty brassy, but there's a decorum to be had. That's just how I do business. I don't subscribe, and that's okay. He knows that. I've told him. We've said that mano a mano. You do it your way. I do it my way. I do agree with you. Anyway, he sent out an email to the finance. I believe it's just called the finance committee. Yeah, for town council, Hilton Head Town Council. Apparently, the dollars that South Island Dredging Association, it would be interesting to know who's on that board. And I wonder if Stu Rodman is on that board. And I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm not alleging that he is. I'm just asking. Because he is on the board of the Greater Island Council. He is, the Sea Ponds Association. Anyway, back to the drawing board. In this email, Skip Hoagland writes it specifically to Tom Lennox, who is the chairman of the finance committee. And his questions are legit here, folks. They're legit. He says, if SEDA is South Island Dredging is a legitimate nonprofit, why are they exempt from applying to the town for funds through the ATAX process? So real quickly, there is a process that nonprofits have to go through, whether it's the county or the towns. There's a process to apply for these public funds for hospitality or for tourism or for whatever. There's a process. You just don't pick up the call. Hey, what's up? You got 600K I could get onto to dredge? No, it doesn't work that way. He states that there's a case from it's early 2000 that was before the U.S. District Court involving the Harbortown Yacht Club boat slip owners association, that appears that the property owners at one time financially responsible for maintaining their own dredging. What are we double dipping here? What prompted the town to start suddenly footing part of the bill? If it was non-public funded previously, privately funded, how did you take privately funded item and start making it a publicly funded item that is now possibly enriching the pocketbooks financially, etc., portfolios of politically elected officials? Harbortown is a member of the SEDA, the association. The members own property adjacent to the navigable waters at Hilton Head. SEDA contracted with Safe Harbor to dredge marinas and waterways adjacent to the property of its members, including Harbortown Marina, where the plaintiff's own members own boat slips. This is more of the Beaufort County Love Club. This Mr. Cliff, who wrote the email that I first talked about, he was put on notice via email where he relates a certain minority group of Sea Pines owners who've tried to pass these dredging costs to all Sea Pines owners. I guess that's like a HOA assessment fee. Wonder who steered that ship. The public already contributes to dredging costs via a portion of the Sea Pines gate fees that I told you. The dredging project will benefit Baynard Cove Creek, a prior aborted dredging initiative from earlier in 2022. It was in the paper. It was on the news. This initiative was helmed by Stu Rodman, who owns a home at 27 Baynard Park. So the final thought with this: hasn't the town put themselves in a legal quagmire by approving $600,000 of public funds? If anybody's on here from Hilton Head, $600,000 of your money is going to dig a ditch on the Baynard Cove Creek behind Stu Rodman's house, and you just got him a little bit more money in value for that property. We do have a question. Those are the kind of things that we bring up to this show that make this show what it is. Julianne, how about some discussion about Monkey Island and the monkey testing facility out in Yemassee? I drive by the testing facility weekly, and it's been expanding on a regular basis. Hey, that's a great. I'm glad to hear that. Being in Bluffton, I don't hear a whole lot what goes on that side of the Broad River. I do have family over there and friends over there, so I mean I know more than probably a lot. But the Monkey Island part of it, I hadn't heard that. I'll look into that. And I'll get some of my folks onto that. And those people who don't know what Monkey Island is, there is an island off of it'll be like the backside of Ladies Island, if you will, in St. Helena Island. That is the home to I don't know how many thousand, 100 or 1,000, whatever. I believe the rhesus monkeys, or something that looks like a rhesus monkey to me. Anyway, these rhesus monkeys are used in testing by a facility. I don't know if it still has the same name, but it is up in Yemassee, right on the way as you go trying to get into Waldoboro, or into the town of Yemassee, rather. Excuse me. It's on the right as you get in there. Still in Beaufort County. Former mayor of Beaufort, Bill Rowell, used to. I don't know if he owned it solely. The facility in Yemassee, or if he was managing partner. I don't remember how that worked. He was like the dog of that. Anyway, it's always been a mystery. You're not allowed to go on that island. You can only get to it by boat. And yeah, there's always been a story. And yours truly, many, I'm talking 20 years ago. We were on a boat and went over there and threw oranges. And yes, they threw them back. It was that's right, it was Mayor Todd. That's right. Sorry, Bill. Anyway, you can sometimes you can see the monkeys, sometimes you can't. You're not allowed to go on the property. It is protected. But there's always been this kind of mystique about it. There's always been even more mystique about what do they do in Yemassee? What are they testing for? Could it be like a coronavirus that they're testing there? Are they testing I heard that at one time. There was AIDS research. And there was a child. My mom had a autoimmune disease before they really became known. You know, now there's autoimmune diseases everywhere. And she had a monkey, so to speak. She didn't have it, but there was one that was Karen. Anyway, I don't know if it was here or where it was. Same kind of scenario. And that's how they tested the drugs and tested to see, you know, was it safe and so on and so forth. But there's always been a mystique of exactly what is going on. They say that at one time it was being, started to be dwindled down a little bit, but evidently Julianne here is saying that it's being possibly expanding. Great question. We will continue and look into this. Great idea, and I'm going to get on it. She also says, I believe I heard 3,000. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if monkeys are like rabbits, but I wouldn't be shocked if there are 3,000 monkeys there. I know there was a ton, and I say that loosely. There was a ton in Yemassee, and at one time, I think they got out. I don't know if they got out into the public or just got out of their cages. That was a big deal, and it wasn't that long ago. I mean, it's probably been 10 years now. But 3,000 monkeys, I don't know. Not sure. So anyway, Mike Talmadge, I am seeing a Beaufort County House of Cards billboard around the area. That's a good idea. I never thought about that. If you'd like to sponsor that, Mike, we'll push it. Anything is possible in these days. That is for sure. You just never know. So And Mom has chimed in. Mom, yeah, that's right. Her little monkey was from the National Institutes of Health up in Bethesda, Maryland. I assume that the she says supposedly Monkey Island supplies, and that may be. I don't know. I'm gonna look into it. We're gonna, give me a little bit, get my people to get on it. We will find out what is and what isn't going on at Monkey Island, and we'll report back here to you folks. Don't forget that we are. Let me change over here. We are live every Thursday. Every Thursday, right here on. I hope you can hear this music. This is new music for us. Got busy back here with the bass guitar. Anyway, every Thursday we're live. We are starting to tape shows once a week, sometimes twice. We'll see what happens with that. We hope you join in with us. We want to see you. We want to hear from you. Don't forget to go onto patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards. That's Patreon. You see it there on the ticker on your screen. Patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards. Check us out. Get into a membership. Help the show, help you. You can also go to Cash App at $MCovert1581. And you're right, Mike. We need local media that bias or not, at least bias in a better direction. I don't have a bias. I just call it like I see it. And I've always said, if you don't like what I'm saying, at least I was honest with you. I'm not telling you what you want to hear. I'm telling you what I know. And if I don't know it, I'll find it out. Julianne, next week, Carolyn Fisher. Absolutely. We're going to get her on the show. We'll be on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook. Carolyn Fisher's going to be here. She's going to be the write-in candidate for Beaufort County Council, District 6, right here on Beaufort County's House of Cards, Mystery, Mayhem, and Manipulation. We'll see you next week.